Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So I think I can close my speech because Ola already told everything. It's all about data the next 20 minutes, and hopefully I give you some feeling why we marketing guys are so fascinated by data, and hopefully it's also some spark for you in it. Yeah, most of you might have heard this one, data is the oil of the 21st century, one of my most used favorite charts. Now for 5 years, and hopefully we see later on that this is more than true. That's the reason why everyone is hunting for it. And this is the smart data consumer formula. So this is what we were talking this morning, in the afternoon. What everyone is chasing is the behavioral data of the end consumer. May this be his location 24/7, what he's buying every day, every night, what kind of payment methods he's using, what he's talking in the internet, what he's searching about. So everything where we can have a trace on the end consumer. Obviously, we were always also hunting after wearables and were fascinated by this trend. But now with fashion and tech and fashion, there's a totally new possibility. And this is what I'm trying to talk to in a couple of minutes. So this is true in any industry. The companies who will not own the end consumer data will be out. They will not make the best products, not have the best service, and not go on the right innovation. So that's the reason why all the big aggregators in the insurance industry, why the car industry is after services. So end consumer data is what it's all about in business. And strategy-wise, I'm also a professor for innovation management. This is my most used innovation theory, copy and paste. It's a bit poor these days saying that this is the most valid strategy, but it is. There's so much for you to learn from other industries, so really go on this copy and paste path. This is the 4 topics I hopefully give you a little glimpse in. Fashion as part of the digital ecosystem, why we marketing guys will care more about fashion and fashion tech in future times. What is the next big thing? Obviously, I don't have really a clue what's going on in 5 to 10 years, but we need to care about what's going on there. And everything is going to be measurable. Even design and fashion will be measurable. You might hit me for this say, but I give you an analogy from the creative scene later on. And maybe also some solution how you could work and get a bit more intimate with data and to work on this one. I give you a little case study. Sorry for the guys from Deutsche Telekom. It's not Deutsche Telekom, it's Telefonica, but that's the name of the game. For the English-speaking guys in the room, I perfectly like this one. This is a CEO saying, if you have a shitty process and you digitalize your process, you have a shitty digital process. So, which means just going on this digital transformation where everyone is just hunting for, it doesn't make sense. You really have to go on the data ecosystem, understand how is your business really working, put the end consumer in the center of everything you do. It's all about data transformation. If you would reorganize all the DAX companies here in Germany or any other companies from a consumer perspective, you would reorganize it. You had different processes, different budget allocations. So if you would really go on this one, everything would look totally different. So this is a big transformational gap the companies have to go from the old world to this new data-driven end consumer world. And this was something that we were working for Telefonica. Just a very brief explanation on this chart. So the companies in marketing these days, they put money in products, in media, in this case in subsidies, hardware, content marketing, content production is a big issue in marketing. So I only have €1 and the question is, where do I put my money? Competitors are doing the same. So the question all about is, what do you put in the whole marketing system? And then you have some effects in the marketing system, in your shops, online, offline. You have all these earned touch points, all the social stuff, what you know, etc., etc. So the logic goes, how much money on what channel, where to spend it, what is the effect, and hopefully, in this case of Telefonica, I sell a lot of these new contracts. This is what every company is doing now, really understanding tons and tons of those little errors to really understand how I should allocate my budget. At the end of the day, mystery, can't show you this one live now. Mr. Dirks has a tool in hands where he sees everything what's happening in his marketing ecosystem live, saying We have a live measurement of the shop footfall, the payment stuff. At the moment TV spot is running, what is the effect on the owned earned channels, etc., etc. So marketing these days is all about live marketing. And this is possible because of all the new data out there, behavioral data. So the behavioral data is what fuels this system. You might ask yourself, what's fashion got to do with this one? Have a look on some cases. We have seen some, a lot of you haven't been here before, but there's a lot going on. Ulla said about smart textile and all the sensor stuffs. Google was teaming up with levels about gesture stuff, fabric loom inside, so you would be able to just control the devices on the textile. The same goes, for example, for suit buttons. You use the suit buttons to control your mobile phone, even do your payments through your wallet functions if you have it. Or Safilo, in the morning we heard something about brainwaves in a very impressive presentation. This is same case. So this luxury sunglass producers taking the EEG sensors from the nose bridge and all the other ones and giving you advice about your biofeedback, how stressed you are, and even gives you some meditation on your accompanied application. Antelope is using the EMS. The ones who do a lot of sport might have seen a lot of new sports centers saying that if you train and at the same moment be under electricity, it's much more effective. So this is stuff you can wear. Companies enter new kind of pressure groups and influencers, like Trussardi is doing this in Italy, using musicians. You know the case about Nike entering the scene and being part of the community. The same goes for Adidas here in Berlin, on the running side, soccer side, etc. Adidas is opening a new sales channel for guys being interested in products. You can pre-order, buy stuff earlier, you get being distributed earlier, and Adidas obviously is gaining really interesting data from the guys that are really interesting as at the first influencers for them. Google was joining with Zalando on a case Muse. So they took the data from fashion bloggers, from end consumers, some artificial intelligence on it, and everyone using it got a personalized design. I haven't done it, but I heard there's some room for improvement on the outcome side. But again, the case behind is interesting. Gathering data wherever you might be able to get the data, put some algorithms on top, and there's some really interesting proposition for the end consumer. Going back to the Telefonica case, if all that really happens this year, we might, at the end of the year, rework on our marketing case for Telefonica, saying there's so much possibilities to put your money into different kind of channels, which is fashion tech. And the outcome, I'm very curious to see how we measure all that stuff and put it in the same dashboard and marketing, etc. stuff to really not only measure all these Apple Watches and your smartphones, but all the stuff that we are talking all day long. So story will, if everything continues like we discussed today, there will be a tremendous impact on all these marketing and measurement stuff. Next big thing, as I told you, some idea, but really no clue what's going on in 5 years' time. But every industry, the biggest challenge for every industry these days is you don't really struggle with your former competitors anymore. It's not the automotives against the old automotives, not the old insurance guys, etc. You know what I'm going to tell. So if we talk about fashion and tech, the same goes on the auto side. I'll give you a little case on auto and tech. If you go to the CES, to Las Vegas, and you look who is really the new competitors on the auto side, it's not the old ones. It is the old ones, and they're trying to close a little of the gap, but the really interesting stuff is coming from out of the industry. This is for China. We do a lot of these stuff in China because China is so progressive, and we learn so much more from the Chinese market and try to take some of these cases also back to Europe and Germany. But we see here, you might have heard about Tencent or Foxconn. Foxconn, obviously the one producing all the Apple stuff. They are investing now in future mobility concepts. A car company being built up in 2 years' time, taking all the guys from BMW from Munich, and now will be on the market next year time. So 10 years ago, automotive, say, was no more companies possible in the market. These days, we see every day, literally every day, a new car company, mobilities car company in the market. Or the same goes for LeEco. You might have seen this Faraday car on the CES. So it is mainly the other companies, a lot of those mobility services. Any startup can capture the mobility and consumer these days, and this is the biggest challenge for the automotive industry. So fighting for end consumer data is the whole game, and curious to see how this chart might look like in fashion next year or second next year. What to do? Some professional advice, copy and paste, as I said before. A lot of the big companies try to be as startups. The reason why we in Berlin see here, like, I don't know, the same. Every second day, a new startup lab from the big corporations trying to be like the smaller ones. So learning from startups is one of the big things, to see, because the startups are generating the new services, new ideas, new communication concepts. It's not the big ones. I skipped this one, is naturally true. Learn and adapt from other industries. There's so much to learn from other industries. Understand the communication concept from the fast-moving consumer good industry and take the mechanisms into fashion. Or take from the, if you look on technology, there's many next big things on the technology side that are shaping all the industries. Internet of Things, obviously. Don't ask me where the chart is coming from. But if you look on Internet of Things, for example, this is the big thing in like any industry we are discussing. What you see here is a lot of trends, volume of discussion and growth. And we have, and I selected two of these ones. I just heard from Ole that he's also a chatbot. Yes. So this was not aligned. But if you look, for example, on chatbots, we all know this one latest after the Trump discussion. We also see this now in fashion. All the other industries I was naming before are working on chatbots in interacting. So you will talk to machines in future time much more, and this goes in fashion. You have this integrated in the Facebook Messenger. You can shop Burberry stuff on WeChat. WeChat is the WhatsApp in China, much more progressive than WhatsApp. The same goes for Nike, and some of you have probably also had some experience with Alexa. You know, maybe also the Amazon Echo, which was big in the Christmas sale. So we will have more and more machines talking to us, and the experience might be much more interesting than you experience in any Telefonica or Deutsche Telekom help desk at these moment of times. There's another thing, blockchain. Who of you knows about blockchain? What is blockchain? Okay, you need to care about it. Blockchain is, you might have heard about Bitcoin, this fuzzy, dumb internet currency, blah, blah. But last year we have done so much stuff helping companies from various industries. What's the role for blockchain to my industry? What it does, very simple, it puts information not on one computer or one database, but it distracts it on various computers. So if you manipulate one of those computers, it will guess, okay, there was some manipulation in it, and it can tell me this one is not true, whatever that true might be. It's been used for diamonds, for the blood diamonds in Africa. We do a lot of used car stuff now. You know that a lot of guys are manipulating the car, the mileage of the car. So if you have a used car pass based on blockchain, this will be over. The same goes for fashion. I mean, there's a lot of stuff and copy stuff, especially if you care a bit more about the Asian and Chinese market, in fashion. So you have secure authenticity. Even in luxury fashion, you could say, okay, this is some stuff that's been worn by this and this kind of the model. So you can have a total end-to-end control of fabrics, material, where it has been produced correctly or someplace in India. So you have a very nice new offering in front of the end consumer for the ones who care about it. So there is so much in technology, and there's tons and tons of other technologies. So what I strongly recommend, Tinder all that shit. So go through all the technology that might be even totally dumb on first sight and just try, could there be something in it? Say, okay, relevant, no, relevant. Or next year, try again. This is what you need to do. Copy, paste, or do this one. Last analogy. as a marketing guy, we do some stuff on marketing, communication, and creativity. And this is a big say in the marketing sphere. Technology, new creative means the German ones in the room know, Geiz ist geil, oder dahinter steckt immer ein kluger Kopf. So texting is important, full stop. But in future time, technology will be the new creative. Means the ones who have this end-to-end consumer journey, all the data and all the technology in place, they will have the really creative experiences for the end consumer. So the question is, do we really see this kind of content any more, or just this kind of content? And at the beginning of last year, we teamed with quite a nice setup of people from the marketing sphere, and we said, okay, we can measure creativity based on data. So the last thing in marketing, because I showed you this Telefonica thing, so everything on the performance side is now measurable. But the last thing was, I'm a creative. Hey, I have this guts and I know how to do it. So what we then did is we measured and tried to measure creativity. The ones who are really interested in, go to creativityscore.com. You will have some more information on this one. And we don't do this against creative guys, but in favor of creative guys. Because in future time, everything will be measurable, and every money that will be spent will only be spent if you really can justify the spent money. So if we make creativity be measurable, we will justify more and more budgets for creative work, because we strongly believe in creative work. So this is now working. We put all the big awards into the machines. We are now able to really predict what will be the next big success in this one. I skipped the film because I'm out of time, but go to the internet and you see something like a stock market index for all the creative campaigns that are out there in the market. And my prediction would be we will also be able to measure fashion and also fashion design. So maybe we see us back next year with a data fashion score, something like this. And again, it's not against creative guys or against fashion guys, but it's in favor of everyone doing this kind of work. And last thing, make data your friend. The same goes in the creative industry. There's a lot of guys who hate mathematics, hate physics and all that stuff, but if fashion and tech really becomes relevant, you can't avoid data. You don't have to be in predictive algorithm whatsoever specialist, but at the end of the day, at least understand what could data do for me. So if this one is not, on the whole stuff, was not make you and put away the data fascination, that's what we just introduced here in Berlin. We do a data incubator in Berlin and just working exactly on these things for the really hardcore guys, but also on the lightweight topics, and would be great if some of you found interest in it. Thanks a lot. Great.